RustShip is the podcast for developers who ship code with Rust. I'm your host, Marco Iani, and today we have Orhun with us. Hi Orhun, how are you?
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me, Marco, first of all. It's good to be back after a year, I think. I was on the
Yes.
first episode. Such an honor to be back. It shows that our friendship is still okay. So,
Yeah, I don't know about that.
yeah,
We'll see after the episode how it goes.
all right, it's fine.
So I practiced saying your surname before stream, but I didn't because I'm such used to calling you by name. So I will do again the presentation. We have Orhun Parmaksiz. Uh,
Parmaxiz, yes. Yeah,
did I go well?
yeah, I think it's reasonable.
Okay,
Yeah.
nice. Yeah, first of all, yeah, a bit of disclaimer, like it has been a while since the last episode, but yeah, unfortunately, I cannot I cannot have a regular cadence with this podcast, so I will have it once in a while. So don't unsubscribe, you will see some episodes from me, but yeah, probably there will be another episodes like until the end of the year, we'll see. But yeah, let's enjoy this conversation with Orun. For the first time, the podcast is in real, like offline, let's say, in the sense that yeah, we're together, and we met here because we went to Vienna for Eurorust, where Orun had a talk, right? What it was about, how it was called.
It was about Ratatouille, which you can see the T-shirt right now. So yeah, Eurus was great. I got very nice feedback about the talk, and overall had great time there. Seeing Marco there grinding as always, so it was quite nice. So yeah, how was your experience? I'm curious too.
It was great, yes. So for the first time, I didn't watch a lot of talks. I just was in some tables working with other people. We had an infrastructure team impul room where I had some. We had some good first issues for people who wanted to contribute to the infrastructure team. Yeah, news for the listeners. I joined the Rust Foundation 3 months ago to work in the Rust infrastructure team inside the Rust project. So yeah, it was quite nice to see other people from the Rust project and new contributors making PRs. Yes, definitely. If you want to get involved in the infrastructure team, if you want to get help, let me know in DMs and such.
Yeah, I think you did a great job there. I mean, I was just passing by sometimes, and Marco was just helping a lot of people there about the infrastructure issues. So, a really good job there, man.
It was
Yeah.
very fun. Yeah. So today we will talk about Binsider. Before going into it, yeah, any news since the last time we talked? 1 year has passed. What's up? Yeah.
Yeah. I lost some weight. Maybe some of you all can already tell. And other than that, everything is pretty much the same. Writing Rust still. I have a now. I mean, I had a YouTube channel, but now I have an active YouTube channel which I live stream um, from time to time. I'm thinking of having a live stream with Marco today. So um, that's new. And other than that, there are some new projects that I released, like Binsider and so on. So yeah, basically doing the open source game and trying to stay alive. Yeah.
Nice. There,
Mm-hmm.
staying alive is a very good goal to have.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about Binsider. It's a really interesting project. Let us know what it's about.
So I do packaging for Arch Linux, and sometimes I needed to take a look into the binaries to see which dependencies they use or which sections they have and so on. And also sometimes I'm just curious about files. So I made this tool called Binsider. It's basically for taking a look inside of the binary. So Binsider, the name. And basically it's doing that. I started working on this I think a year ago or maybe more than a year ago, but then I got busy with Ratatouille and other projects, and in the recent months I ramped up the development a bit and finally created a release. And I think the first release was a month ago or 4 weeks ago or something. And yeah, the tool is basically for analyzing Linux binaries for now, ELF format, and so on. So yeah, um, that's basically TUI as always. Yeah.
Yeah, of course, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, did you mention what your talk was about, by the way, at Euros? No.
No, I said that it's about Ratatouille, but so the talk was titled Renaissance of Thermal User Interfaces with Rust, and I basically wanted to demonstrate the cool stuff that people built with Ratatouille and using Rust, and also like give a bit of an introduction to the library and how you can use it, how you can start out, and so on. Of course, Binsider was one of the showcase projects that I showed, but it was like a very interesting topic, just for someone, someone not using TUIs as well. So if you are interested in seeing what I'm doing and what people are doing, I'd recommend checking the talk out when it's published. So it's basically like a combination of cool and awesome TUI tools, and also here's Ratatouille and here's how you can use it, and our efforts basically. So yeah.
Okay, yeah, I think that if you have a tool that you use often in your days, like you say, like for analyzing packages, for, binaries for packaging them, I think having a TUI it might be nice because like it loads immediately and it's very fast to browse with key bindings. So I was playing with Binsider and I said, okay, this is yeah, it felt like fast, productive, nice. Yeah.
Actually, one question that I got about my talk is that, so my first Rust project was a TUI as well. It's a project called Kmon, and it's for seeing the kernel modules and like monitoring the activities. So someone asked, why did you make this? Why is this useful? Because you don't you don't always like take a look into the kernel, right? You don't always write kernel modules and so on. But if you do, this tool is super useful um, to see everything at one place. So it's the same about Binsider, because you don't always analyze binaries and take a look into files. But when you do, you just want a central thing where you can see everything, and don't want to maybe use many tools. And it's just a Swiss Army knife, so to speak. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like if you want to analyze certain things about the binary, you need to use different tools like I think LDD
Yeah.
or readelf.
Yeah.
Instead, with this one, yeah, you just say binsider and then the name of the binary, and then it shows all this info um, in the terminal, and you just tab and yeah, it goes through every every screen basically. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like you said, you need to run LDD, readelf, strace, file, and ls maybe, and I don't know, many commands to get an idea. I think so I will mention the implementation details, but just to give an idea, um, readelf output is very it's kind of well known in the community, like reverse engineering community. So I try to um, have the same kind of looking output in the TUI as well, because everyone is used to it. So I didn't want to introduce something new, and people who have already experience in using those tools will see the TUI and they're like, this is cool because it looks like the same, and it's definitely an easier way to take a look into binaries.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So
Yeah.
nice to have small steps so that people feel at home a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah. So okay, what are the info that you can see inside Binsider about the binaries?
Yeah. So I'm gonna just go step by step, and I'm gonna mention them in the order that I implemented them, I think. So firstly, I wanted to see the sections, and the sections, I mean the ELF format. So in case you don't know, ELF format is the binary format in the Linux, and it has many different and interesting parts. We have file headers, program headers, I don't know, dynamic section, symbols, and so on. And if you have dealt with binaries before you probably know the dynamic sections and symbols and so on. And I just want to see them in a table. So firstly, I implemented the table um, using the elf crate in Rust. So this is static information. So first, you need to get it once. It won't change. It's in the binary. So what I did was create some wrapper modules for this elf library, and when you run Binsider, it gets all the data that it needs, and then the first thing that I did was just use Ratatui to have a table and render every section as in a table. And also there are some parts such as nodes, so you can put some bytes in the ELF format, and these nodes section is for usually some compiler information or some file information and so on. So instead of tables, I just put them as text in the TUI, and there's also a little I think it was file headers, just the text as well. So like it's a text and another text and just a table. In the table, you can see the location of the sections and like basically just the bytes and whatever it contains. So for the symbols, you can see the symbol name, which corresponds to the function name in a mangled state. So it's just some string there and so on. So first I did that, and after that I think I did the file information, like the size, the author of the file, when it was modified, when it was changed, and so on. And it's basically just pure Rust implementation. I didn't use any library for that. I just used the stdio for it. And then what did I do next? I think I did the dynamic analysis, which is, so for the static analysis, by the way, this is not like something conventional. I just came up with this static analysis because you get the data and it's like static, it doesn't change, right?
Yeah,
So
you can get this data without running the binary.
Yeah, exactly. So for the dynamic part, I wanted to see the system calls that the executable makes. So it's basically the corresponding data that you get from a tool like strace. So when you run strace, it gives you some output which contains all the system calls. So I want to have that, but I wanted to have it like in a readable format, because if you run strace, it will just give you a lot of stuff and it's not easy to find whatever you're looking for in there. So I found a library, sorry, a binary called lurk, which is a strace implementation in Rust. And I was like, maybe I can just use this binary in the Binsider. So what I did was basically, and this was probably like 8 months ago or something, I basically refactored that project and contributed to upstream and said that, hey, I want to use this as a library and here's the code, and they accepted it. So now this lurk tool is usable as a library. So I basically use that and I basically printed out, like I get the output from them, and the output is the same output that you get when you run the binary. So it's like with the ANSI escape codes and with the colors and everything. So I get all the output. I use TUI ANSI to TUI or something like that as a library to convert the ANSI escape codes to color widget in Ratatui, and I just basically print out the output. And since I contributed to that library or project, the author liked what I do, and after a couple of contributions, I got invited to the repo. So I'm now the maintainer of that project. I'm not sure if I'm happy about that.
Is it is it a good thing or not? We'll see.
Yeah, it happens, dude. And then after that, I decided to have hexdump in the TUI. So again, I didn't want to implement hexdump from scratch. So I found a project called He, and this project is basically
How's it spelled?
Heh.
Okay.
He. So yeah, I don't know what it's supposed to mean, but it's very cool. Promote like the description of the project is edit bytes nibble by nibble. So it's like actually a hex editor for editing the contents of any file, not just binaries. So this was built with Ratatui, and I was like, maybe I can use this as a widget. So I basically again contributed to upstream. uh, I found a way to hook my app to this app's event handling. So I basically skipped the whole terminal initialization part. I directly like create the app like the state, and then I like connect to the events. So any event that I get from my own app, I just send it over to this state, and it's handled. And then I have a I expose a function from that library called, I think, render widget, render frame or something, and I just call that function, and it works. So I basically contributed that to upstream, and a little other things too. And then after some time, I got invited to the repo, and I am now
I
the
mean,
maintainer of.
you weren't maintaining a lot of packages, so like.
No, right? Yeah, it's just two more projects. It's
Yeah,
fine.
it's fine.
So yeah, basically those things, I offloaded them to other projects. I was like so happy because now I don't need to write any code for doing other things. But then I realized, wait, I became the maintainer, so I guess I have to, yeah,
It's your NAS.
yeah.
Yes, your account. Yeah.
So I did that. So static, dynamic, hex dump, and strings was super easy. Just analyze the binary and get the like string looking things from it. And it was, I used Rust strings library, like Rust dash strings create for that, and it worked out of the box. It's just a list, so it was
Sorry, what
pretty easy.
does this do? This
This
library?
will do basically, it will take the binary and scan it, and if it finds any string
Ah,
like your password,
yeah.
don't put password in binaries, man.
What do you mean? No.
Yeah, just don't do
I
it.
just do if password
No,
equals
no, no,
equal.
no, no, no,
No,
don't do,
shouldn't.
no,
Oh, okay.
no, don't. Just fix that real quick after the podcast. So, it looks for those data, and then it lists them in a Ratatouille list widget. One interesting thing is that this takes some time to do, actually. I don't know, it's kind of slow, this library. So I just run it in a thread, and when the thread completes, I get the output. But I will look into that. It should be faster, I think.
Is it just a curiosity? Do you use blocking threads or like Tokyo
Mm,
tasks?
so the whole project is sync. So there's
Mm-hmm.
no Tokyo, um, and I use like a separate thread. So thread spawn,
Yeah.
and then I use like I always forget the name, MPSC
Ah,
channel
okay. Yeah.
or NSPC channel,
Yeah.
something.
Multiple producer consumer that
This
stuff.
guy
Yeah.
knows. This guy knows. Yeah, I basically use that, and when the thread finishes its task, it just sends a message to that channel, and I render the whatever output. And then I added the dynamic shared library section into the general tab. This was using some Rust library, which I don't remember. So basically putting everything together,
Yeah.
and it was implemented like that.
So like a quick list, it was like strings, dynamic libraries, then
Static, uh,
like the sections. There is
yeah,
an X editor too.
yeah, and I guess that's it. The general file
Yeah, file
information.
information. Okay. Yeah, I think yeah, it's a lot of info for people who need them. Like because yeah, like one of my question is, who is the target audience? Because like normal developers probably don't need this in their job. Is it like I don't know, security engineers and like did you have any feedback from people that said, oh, it's so useful, I use this for this, and like you were surprised when it was used, where it was used?
Yeah, so the target audience is basically people who deal with binaries, packagers, reverse engineers, hackers like you, and that's it. Just people who are curious about binaries. And I was not really targeting for some audience as well. I was just like, well, this is a cool project and I want to learn more about the binary. So maybe it's a good idea to write this and put it out in case somebody else needs it. And then it kind of got so many feedback on Reddit and Hacker News and so on. So one interesting thing was this guy on Twitter said that he will use this to um, I guess he's doing some kind of educational thing, and he's gonna use it to show the sections or like the the what a binary contains at some workshop or something. So that was pretty interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I think education is a huge use case for this tool because, as I said, yeah, it's not that like having all this information in like 1 second is not that accessible. You need to master a lot of CLI and so on. So that was, I think it's a very interesting project, yes, also for learning purposes. So regarding the strace, right, you need to run strace to get the system calls that a binary does. But I was thinking maybe is there a way like to get these system calls with static analysis? So like analyze, all right, because you don't have the, yeah, you don't have the source code. So you, right.
Yeah, you don't have the source code, but you have like you probably can get an idea of what the binary is doing from the symbols and like the name of the functions that are found in there. But the problem is the release binaries in Rust, for example, they are super hard to analyze. So the symbols are stripped and a bunch of information is stripped. It's hard. One issue that I'm currently working on is demangling the symbols. So you will get, instead of some kind of complex string, you'll get the actual function name in the next versions of Binsider, I think, because we are talking with a person in the issues, and it should be possible. There's I think RustC demangle and also CPP demangle crates for that. Just to give an idea, like there's a complex, a bit like a, I don't know if you guys know mangling and so on, but just to like give a quick idea, like there's a complex string and mangling is made for the purpose that when you have different function names or different or the same function names, you want to make things unique. So you just you applied some kind of I guess
randomization.
randomization to the function name. So I want to show the actual function name by making it demangled, so to speak.
Okay.
So yeah.
Cool. So you removed the randomization. Okay, nice.
Yeah.
And then there was this interesting thing that you said that you used lurk to render, like, yeah, Binsider uses Turk as lurk as a TUI, right?
Yeah.
So instead of including a like you included a Rust library, but that library can be rendered in your application. So like, do you think that this is a concept that you will explore in Ratatouille? Ratatouille is the library that Orhun maintains that lets you create terminal user interfaces in Rust.
Everybody knows. Yeah.
I was wondering. I know. I was wondering. Maybe this is a concept that you find it just now. Maybe I don't know. You can expand it, like you can document it and maybe make it easier and for this pattern. Because it would be cool that I can include. I'm doing my TUI and I include other people's widgets, right?
Yeah.
Widgets.
So just to give you like a little bit more info about how I made this. So it's basically the output of a program, right? And I'm taking that output and I am basically converting the output, like an ANSI sequenced output, to like a Ratatouille text, basically. So it's a text, but you can, in theory, take an output and convert it to a list widget, so that you can, like, select or search and so on. You can search the text too, but yeah. And what I did for Lurk is basically take the existing executable and provide an API which is like, which takes something that is um, write, like stdio write, which can be anything. Like it can be std out, std error, or file, or just vector, something. So when you apply this to something, when you take something that implements write, you can basically pass in some vector of U8 or something, and after after the thing is run, you have the bytes, basically. So I take the bytes and then I convert them to string, and then convert them to the Ratatouille widget, and then I render them. So that's how it works. And I think it can be mentioned in the documentation as a separate tip, if you want to like take the output of anything and render it as a widget. I think it can be done this way. There should be other ways too, but I think this was the most straightforward one. So yeah.
Okay, so like, it's not that that's like Lark depends on Ratatouille or not?
No.
Oh, okay, then I misunderstood.
No.
Okay,
No,
okay.
yeah.
So you give your like, yeah, what do you give, like your standard output, or
No,
like a vector?
I just pass in a vector,
Okay.
and then when the execution or the whatever completes, I just use the vector. So yeah.
Okay, makes
Mm-hmm.
sense. Like, it would be cool if, I don't know, yeah, just this idea that you can combine Ratatouille widgets, like, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, there are libraries to create Ratatouille widgets, right? For
Mm-hmm.
example, like there is some text in Binsider, and you can move with Vim key bindings to the list. You can also search with the slash. So yeah, I wanted to understand, like, for example, are Vim bindings, the logic of Vim bindings is inside the Ratatouille. For example, the search, is this implemented inside Ratatouille? Like, how much widgets did you manage to reuse for Binsider?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think what I did was basically for every app, I do things from scratch. So for me, it's easier that way, because sometimes I want to use Vim key bindings, sometimes I don't want it. So it's basically like a huge match block, which matches for the keys, and whatever happens, I just um, assign the actions and so on. But if you want to reuse that, like, use it like out of the box, there are libraries for that. For example, I think it was add TUI, if I remember correctly. I might be wrong. There is one library for adding Vim key bindings to your Rust application, not just Ratatouille, but any Rust project, basically. I'm not sure about the name, but I think it was something like that, and we can also take a look
Yeah.
later. And this basically enables you to, and in this repo there is a Ratatouille example, so you can just use that out of the box, and you have Vim key bindings and so on. So yeah, that's how it works, and most of the people, they just follow the same standard, like, H, J, K, L, and it's just the movement keys, and like slash is search and so on. But I think they're all just like manually made, so no one is, I guess, using this, because using a library for it, because mostly you don't need it. But if you're making like a text editor or some kind of thing, I
Yeah.
think you can just depend on a library. So yeah.
Okay, so in theory you can have Vim mod text edit
Yeah.
inside Ratatouille. Okay, okay.
Yep.
I wonder if there is a way to embed, for example, new Vim inside the Ratatouille widget
Yeah, I think,
with your extensions plugins.
yeah, like a spawning envim inside.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a pseudo term widget, so which
Okay.
just spawns another shell in
Nice.
a Ratatouille. I use this for my recent project Theater. I basically spawn a new terminal and I use that new terminal inside Ratatouille to render animations and so on. So it's possible.
Cool.
Yeah.
I see. And yeah, I wanted to ask you, um, what's the future of Binsider? Like, do you have cool ideas that maybe someone proposed in GitHub issues and so on?
So a lot of people want more platform support, more formats. So that's definitely on the roadmap. I found the Leaf project, LIEF. So this project is basically an abstraction layer on top of the existing binary formats. For example, ELF, I think Mac O and also PE for on Windows. So they have this layer which standardizes everything and unifies everything, gives you like an API which you can use to get some information about binaries. And this is quite interesting. They have a Rust API. I might actually use this to support the other formats, for example, Mac O and so on. The problem that I might have if I do that is I might I might need to sacrifice some information. For example, when I use like a ELF um, library, it gives me a lot of information. But if I use an abstraction, I might lose some of the
Yeah.
information. And in the UI, you might lose some things. But I think it's worth a try because I don't see any other possible way of implementing it other than using an abstraction. I don't have like Windows, Mac, or other platform machines. I'm poor, guys. Sponsor me on GitHub. I need a Mac. So I think that's a good way to implement that. And what else? Yeah, that's a big thing. And also there is a Rust project called what was it? Bug Stalker. You know, I don't know if you know it.
No.
So it's a debugger for Rust. It only works on x86 x84 6.
x86 64.
Yeah, that one. It only works on that. Um, but it's a really good project, and some people pointed out that I might actually add a debugger inside Binsider
Oh my god.
using Bugstalker. So we were
Nice.
talking with the author in the issues, and the author said that hey, it might be actually better to use Binsider inside Bugstalker because Bugstalker is not a TUI, and if I want to use that in Binsider, I might have to do a lot of things. There are like a lot of work in there. I need to probably refactor their API so that I can get um, like a TUI, like I don't know, some kind of a TUI API which I can just send commands, get something, and like render it and so on. There's a lot of work, and it's easier to just Bugstalker to run Binsider in itself. So the author implemented that basically just last week, I think. So in Bugstalker, while you're doing analysis, you can just call Binsider and you'll get the Binsider inside Bugstalker.
Technically, how do you do it?
Yeah. So by the way, this is not released. We're just still talking about how to improve it. So Binsider provides an API similar to the other projects that I used. For example, the HEH one. Um, like I said, I just created this API which gives you like a render frame function. I created the same API for Binsider, so you can basically use it as a library. And there's a example in the repository. It's like I don't know, 50 lines of code, and if you run it, you'll get Binsider. So
Okay. Okay. So, and there is like bug tracker. How's it called?
Bugstalker.
Bug stalker. It sends you it forwards the keys, and then you render the output reacting
Yeah,
to those.
yeah,
Wow, awesome, awesome.
yeah.
Okay, 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 cool. Yeah, I think like these opens, like I don't think that GUIs are this composable. Like there's not this mechanism that I know
Yeah,
of.
yeah, yeah. This is actually one of the interesting things that I always like dreamed of, because I looked into it a bit in the past. I was using a lot of GUI apps, right? And I want to have like a GUI where I can see everything, but
Everything. What do you mean?
like everything, like you have Discord there, Firefox, whatever, and then it's like tiling, whatever, and I don't know. It was a stupid theory maybe, but it's not possible in the terminal. So you can have composable apps in the terminal in the same application. A couple of things though. Firstly, they need to provide an API to you, and they probably need to depend on a compatible version of Ratatouille, because otherwise you'll
Yeah,
get errors. And that's probably it. Just 2 points, and if those are satisfied, you can use composable apps or widgets.
yeah.
For
For that, I think that one thing that you can do if you want to enforce the same version of a library, you can use cargo deny
mm-hmm.
to say that in your cargo.lock you just want like certain, you give constraints to your Ratatouille. So for example, if you are on Ratatouille, what's the current release?
Say it again. Sorry.
What's the current release of Ratatouille?
28.0.0.28.1.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can say in cargo deny, for example, yeah, I'll just allow in cargo.lock Ratatouille from 0.28.0
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
0, like minor 0.29, so not included.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you know that when you run cargo update, your TUI dependencies
Mm-hmm.
don't have breaking changes.
Yeah.
Well, this is like you could do a TUI to rule them all. So you include
Yeah.
all the TUIs you like, and then in one
Yeah.
application you like. I think it's a nice pattern. That's what I was meaning. Like I think in the documentation maybe it would be
Yeah.
cool to
Yeah.
flag it.
Currently, there are not too many apps that do it, I think.
Yeah,
So yeah.
you are on the edge of TUI.
Yeah.
Are are there any, like, let's say that somebody's listening and is interested in Binsider? Are there any good first issues to yeah, so that to get started if they want to contribute?
Yeah. So when I created the second release, which had many new features and so on, I also wrote a blog post about the release, and I included a table of issues, like with the titles and with the importance, and like
Yeah,
whether they are like bug or feature. And um, eh, I I make a good use of GitHub labels too.
nice.
So everything was just ordered and just waiting for it to be worked on. But nobody cared for a while, sadly. Although it was super clear what to do. But there are like really good starter issues right now. And recently, a couple of people actually contributed, because I'm I, I write very detailed instructions in the issues, so it's super clear what to do. So definitely, if you go to the issues, there are many things. Off the top of my head, let me try to think about it. There are like there's this one is that's about searching the shared libraries. It's like
Mm,
some user experience
yeah,
improvement, and it can be done quite easily because it's also done in other
in other
places.
panels,
You'll
yes.
just take a look at the code. You'll just follow the same pattern, and you'll be able to search for binaries. And it's a good one. I think it's a good one to start out with the contributions as well. So there are issues like that. If you want to tackle more difficult ones, there are some discussion issues, or like ideas or development or research issues, which are like how can I'll basically ask the question, how can I add like debugger inside Binsider, and how can I do it, and so on. So if you're interested in that, just come around, leave a comment, and so on.
And
Yeah,
subscribe.
and subscribe. Yeah.
Okay. I need to ask you one last thing, like about the technical parts. Like when you run Binsider, I think your application analyzes the binary, and in the meantime there is a loading screen, which is
Yeah.
awesome. Like how do you do it? Is there like a library to grade it?
Um, so um, eh, yeah, I made this thing on stream. So subscribe.
Nice.
What I did was basically so there. Okay, the first of all, there's a library for it,
Mm-hmm.
which I created. It's called Ratatui Splash Screen, and it's using the canvas widget to render any image, uh, like at the start of your application. But over time, I started to dislike that approach a bit because it doesn't look that cool. Because when you use canvas, you can see the points, and it's basically not that great. I don't like the aesthetic of it. It's a bit of a you can tell that it's not like a it's rendered on a canvas,
Mm-hmm.
so it's I don't like it that much. But then yeah, the way that I did this time is basically I take the image, I take the logo, and there's a website for converting any image to ANSI. So I converted the logo to ANSI, and then I copied that output and I created a constant string. And what I do is basically I render that ANSI escape code at the load of while loading the application. There's no loading, by the way. It's just five milliseconds of waiting for nothing. It just looks cool, but it looks cool. And then I basically render the ANSI using TUI. I don't remember its name. ANSI to TUI library.
Okay.
So I basically render that, and that's it. Yeah.
Okay, so the splash screen is just aesthetic. You're not waiting for something.
Nah.
I thought that it was to wait while
No.
you were like because Rust is very fast and you read everything.
Yeah, Rust is very fast, exactly. So there's no point of waiting. But I make you wait anyways because it looks cool.
Okay, okay.
Um, One thing that I should do is add an option to disable
Yeah,
that.
like no splash, but
But
it's great. Honestly I would like open close it for 30 minutes like this just to
yeah, just to see the logo, right? Yeah.
yeah, like the logo. How did you create it? Because like I think your projects are like if you go to GitHub, but don't look at the code because it's bad. It's really
No, no, no.
no, I'm joking. But like look at all the logos because they're really cool. How did you make this one?
So I came up with the name first a year ago, maybe
Good
more than a
name.
year. Yeah, thank you. I searched on GitHub, and it was kind of a surprise that nobody actually took the name. There are a couple of projects, but kind of unrelated. So first, I came up with the name, and I was doing my mandatory military service this summer in Turkey, and I met a guy there, um, and he's like a professional logo designer. Shout out to him,
Like it.
Harun Ocaksız. If you're watching, man, you love you, man. So we were just in the military, kind of bored and doing some military stuff, and we just I told him that I was actually thinking of a logo. I had this little notebook. I was drawing some stuff, and he was super interested. Like he said, let's try to do something together. So we started drawing in the military, and then after the service was over, um, we kept in contact, and after a little of brainstorming, we realized we didn't like any of the logos that we made. So he made a new one, and then we brainstormed a bit again, and I gave some feedback. I was like, he made like a cat, and then a box, and I was like, maybe use a bin, like an actual trash
Yeah.
bin, because it's Binsider, right? And then he made the logo. I wish I had stickers, but yeah, you can just check out the website binsider.dev, and that's the story. Just kind of it's just a courtesy of him. Like shout out to my guy, dude. Yeah.
And you mentioned that like you got a lot of comments on Reddit, and you went on the Hacker News front page. The project has now 2.5k GitHub stars. Yeah, how did you promote it? What advice would you give to people who want to launch their projects?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think I think first focus should be making it shiny, like making it appeal. So I spent a lot of time on the website. What I did was I think I shared the website on Hacker News,
Mm-hmm.
and people like when they see pretty stuff. And I made a website in a way that it looks like a terminal, but it's actually GIFs, and you just scroll through GIFs.
Yeah,
And I spent yeah I had to write JavaScript or like TypeScript for that, so it's I sacrificed some brain cells for that.
yeah.
It took some time and made it pretty. I selected I think Thursday for release. Um, it's not a it's not a super good day to be honest. Like it's just right after the middle of the week, but yeah, I didn't have time, so I'm not sure. Maybe it was Wednesday, but yeah, basically released it at an hour where everyone should be active, kind of, and
What time it was?
I think it was around 3 p.m. my hour, so it's like 2 p.m. here.
Yeah, so it's like GMT is like 12 GMT.
Yeah, something like
Okay.
that. So just around that time.
So UTC 12 it should be, yes.
Yeah, something like that.
So yeah.
It's not maybe a super good advice. Don't take my advice seriously, but
I
it
mean
worked.
it works every time. So
Yeah, I don't know.
we should, yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I shared it, and what else did I? So I have a. So what I do is I post cool Ratatouille projects on the Linux subreddit,
Mm-hmm.
and I had a reputation there already. So
Okay.
I kind of use that reputation again because when you go to my Reddit profile on Linux subreddit, it says top poster or something, and people like what I post there. And I don't post like always. I just post the real interesting stuff.
Of course.
Like yeah, absolutely. And I use that reputation there, and people loved the UI. And I basically post on Linux, command line, Rust. We should probably create a subreddit for Ratatouille as well, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, reverse engineering, and so on, and posted it on Hacker News. For a day or so, it was not on the front page. It was. I said to myself, well, it flopped, whatever. And then next day or in the evening, it was on the front page, and it stayed there for a day or so. So
Nice.
I don't know how it works. I still don't know how Hacker News works, guys. I don't have any advice for that. Sorry.
So you mentioned Reddit reputation. Does it mean that if you have like if you receive a lot of likes in a subreddit, then your post gets more visibility then?
Probably.
Okay. I didn't know.
Yeah, Reddit reputation sounds so cringe, but it's real. So I was, yeah, I think it's like you have more chance to be be on the like I don't know if there's an algorithm there, but I think there's more chance to be more visible if you
Okay.
are a top poster or something like that. I'm not sure. Maybe the Reddit moderators will let me know in the comments about that. So yeah, that's how it works.
Okay, I see, I see. Well, thank you for all the advices. Um, do you think that like creating to a TUI is a good way to start Rust? Like maybe there are some listeners who are interested in Rust. Maybe they're thinking, oh, maybe I should create a TUI. What do you say to them? And what are the what's the best way to get started with the Ratatouille, like first good projects, stuff like this?
So I think it's a good way. I personally saw some people in the Discord and other communities who just started Rust because they want to build a TUI. And the funny thing is that's what my journey is. I basically started using Rust because I wanted to use the TUI RS library back then. So I think it's possible. So you need to do some reading. Of course, it takes some time, but it is definitely something that is worth it. And to start out with Ratatouille, I think the best way would be checking out the documentation first. We have a very detailed documentation for beginners, and also the examples are really good. Like you can run the examples, see how they look like. Because for me to have the enough motivation to work on something, I need to see or like feel the output first. So run the examples, get an idea of how it looks like, and see the other apps, and you know, and you'll get motivated in some way, and then start writing your first TUI app in Rust, and I think it will be awesome. So I'll be there in the Discord to help you out. We have a lot of people there.
Nice.
So or Matrix or other socials, LinkedIn. Shout out to our LinkedIn homies. So yeah.
Thanks. Okay, thanks a lot, Arun. It was very interesting. I suggest people to download and use Binsider. Like even if you don't have a use case for it, I think it's nice to tinker with it. Like just download a Linux binary and do Binsider and then that binary, and I think you will learn a few things. I don't know. It's for sure it uh, if you're curious, probably you will learn some things.
Yeah, absolutely.
How can people follow you on social? You mentioned that you have a YouTube channel where you stream Rust development. So if you are interested in learning Rust, learning TUI, definitely follow Orhun. Other ways to follow you?
So I changed my username on Twitter to Orhun Dev, and also Mastodon. LinkedIn is not changed. It's just Orhun P underscore. I'm not sure. So don't follow me on LinkedIn. It's fine. Twitter and Mastodon will be enough, and YouTube Orhun Dev. I try to stream regularly at 11 very late hours, because late hours is usually when the creativity is kind of weird. So those are the platforms that I use, and basically GitHub. GitHub will be nice, and also feel free to sponsor my work there. I send out weekly or monthly newsletters to my sponsors. We have a very active Discord, right?
Absolutely.
And we just hang out there. So I'm expecting y'all if you're interested. Yeah, GitHub sponsors, GitHub, YouTube, and so on.
Yeah. Well, like first, when you say late hours, it's late hours for us, let's say. But then, for example, if we have listeners in America, it's not
Yeah.
late hours for them. So yeah, just subscribe to the YouTube channel and you will
Yeah.
get notifications when Orhun is live. And also, yeah, if you care about open source, please sponsor Orhun. I think Orhun is the, I'm just saying because he is here with me. But yeah, Orhun is like, when I think about open source, I think about Orhun. Like he's dedicating his entire life to open source. So
Thank you.
definitely, if you care about open source, sponsor him. He's creating a lot of learning resources, a lot of cool tools, Arch Linux packaging. It does very cool job.
Yeah, thank you, Marco. And Marco is also doing a lot of open source, and I don't want to skip that part. Release Please is an awesome tool. And yeah, happy to be here once again. I think this is the 9th episode.
Yes.
And looking forward to more RustShip, and more Release Please stuff from you.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. We'll see. Great. Yeah. If you arrived here, subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow me on LinkedIn and Twitter, so that you get notified when we are live, so you can ask your questions. By the way, if you have questions right now, ask them, because we will answer. You have like 1 minute go. Yeah, otherwise, yes, and also RustShip is a podcast, so you can look for it in your favorite podcast client and subscribe to it, so that you don't miss the next episodes. We'll see if they are offline like this and or online. I will like from this time on, let's say every time I go to a Rust conference, I will bring my microphones with me, and I will try to interview other speakers or yeah. If you are at a Rust conference and I'm there too, and you want to record an episode, let me know. Okay, great. Thanks a lot, Orhun. Yeah, maybe we in like 1 hour or in 2 hours we'll do a live stream together in your channel. So yeah, subscribe to YouTube channel of Orhun.
Yep.
Bye. Thanks a lot.
Take care, everyone.